Hampshire. It's you know, it's.
You gonna predict? You want to predict?
You know, hey, I predicted George Bush would lose twice, so I'm not in the prediction business. So I don't predict, but I mean, I think the probability is Obama's going to win New Hampshire. I think, and I think a lot of people think that now, but no, I mean, the guy he's steamrolling. I mean, it's Obama time. I mean, the guy is fantastic.
Did you get to see him up there?
You know, I tried to get into an event, but I showed up and there was like 3,000 people there. You couldn't get in.
Really?
So I mean, you know, that's when you know you have momentum in New Hampshire. When you have, I mean, Clinton had 1,000 people. That's okay.
Yeah.
And by everybody else's standards, that's fantastic. 3,000 is really off the charts. So
I read that I think it was in the Post. You know, they said that the Hillary events were good, but there were empty seats, and then you go to the Obama events, and they're just people
packed,
screaming.
Yeah, in fact, it was bizarre to me. I was back in my hotel room, and I was watching. They've got a local channel up there that just is all news, 24-hour news, New England news, and they were running a Clinton event, and she was saying, you know, we have some empty seats, fill in the empty seats. I'm thinking, why in the world would you have your candidate stand in front of the cameras and everybody else saying, we have empty seats, fill them in? I mean, you would never want to draw attention to that. So I thought that was kind of strange. But yeah, he transcends everything. I mean, I think my personal opinion is he is the repudiation of the worst Bush administration policies, war in Iraq, you know, primarily. But clearly there are others. But that's who he is, but he's packaged in a very optimistic way, and it's clear also that if you're a Clinton, you can't be the agent of change. Even despite being a woman, that would usually be enough. But if her name was Smith, she'd be doing much better, I think.
Well, I think I couldn't believe her concession speech in Iowa. She had Madeleine Albright behind her, Wesley Clark. Yeah. And Bill Clinton. I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, right. That's true. I observed that too. But he's just a phenomenon. That's the problem with the Clinton campaign.
Since it sounds like you think that Obama may win the nomination through the primaries. What kind of dirty tricks do you expect the GOP to play on him?
Well, first of all, I'm not sure he will. I mean, there's a long way to go, and she's got a lot of resources. But assuming he does, because I mean, she can play through Super Tuesday, the February 5th date. Right. But assuming that's the case, I think one is using his full name, which is Barack Hussein.
Obama Hussein, and make it Osama Hussein.
Right. I mean, you might as well glue a beard to his face and call him Saddam. But so I mean, I think that's a refrain that you'll see.
So are you hearing that they're going to play up that Osama idea?
Well, it's not that I'm hearing it. You've already seen it over the last several months. I mean, it's already been something that you'll see Republican pundits on television say, and I think that'll just get stepped up. I don't want your readers or listeners to take this the wrong way, but I mean, Muslims are still a constituency group that it's somewhat okay to dislike, because of 9/11. I mean, you can funnel your frustration in that direction. Not to say that it's right, or I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's the one area where people really still feel like it's okay to say things that are not okay to say. In other words, that are not that don't fulfill the best American ideals. But having said that, I mean, put it this way: I think if you look at the Iowa returns, you will see Senator Obama did not do that well with rural conservative Democrats. So what that means is states like Pennsylvania, Ohio to some extent, Missouri to some extent, where there are large segments of rural conservative Democrats, you will see, and it's not necessarily, in this respect, it's not necessarily dirty tricks, but you'll see a great deal of effort put there to define him as not coinciding with what they want in a candidate. But it all depends. It all depends who the Republican nominee is. As far as dirty tricks, I think that all the dirty tricks that I talk about in my book, which is delivering messages in a way that predisposes or assumes a predisposition amongst certain demographic groups, you'll see those types of things. I think you'll see, the race card played, the inverted race card played, ways to get people to listen to their lesser angels, not their better angels, but their lesser angels. So you may see some of that as well. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
You brought up that, I mean, the Osama thing. The reason I was interested in that is because the RNC's had Osama Barak registered as a domain name for I don't know how long now.
Osama Barak?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, so then you've answered your own question. I mean, but you know, this came from the Clinton campaign as well. I mean, you know, two staffers in Iowa were fired for this very thing. You know, talking about, you know, educated in a madras. He's a Muslim. He's a, you know, I mean,
I'm so into research. I miss a lot of the current stuff. So.
Right. Yeah. But it again, what it is that the concept of the Manchurian candidate type of thing.
Right.
You know, here, Queen of Hearts, and suddenly he's, you know, sending missiles to the heartland of America or something like that. But on the other hand, I think Senator Obama is such an infectious, optimistically infectious guy that I think in my book, one of the things I say is, you know, be wary or heed Thomas Paine's common sense. Is the law king or is the king law? And I actually make the argument, for that reason alone, Hillary Clinton should be rejected, because you don't want to go through this dynastic series, right? Bush, Clinton for 25 years. And so I think that inherently there's something going on amongst the electorate where they acknowledge that and they're rejecting it. Just, I think, on its face of, do we really want to go back to the other family and have this thing, you know, seesaw back and forth? Because believe me, Jeb Bush is in the wings somewhere waiting to run.
Or maybe one of the grandkids. You know?
Or, yeah, I think his name is George P. Bush. And I'm sure, you know, look, great Americans, I'm sure. But my point is, you know, is the law king or is the king law? And what I mean by that is, once you get into this dynastic series, what it does is it opens up, and I think you've seen it in the Justice Department over the last 8 years, using the law to essentially advance their goals. And specifically in the Bush administration, it's the idea of taking a statute and expanding it beyond its original intent to create new laws, rather than going through the legislative process.
Mm-hmm.